Hi everyone, I'm Dudu from Susan's family. Today I'm going to show you a design from the Retro Days series, the Simple Commuter Bag. This bag consists of the front piece, back piece, pocket, and sewing. Start by crocheting the front piece, then move on to the back piece. Crochet the pocket again. Finally, sew everything together. Let's start by learning how to crochet the front piece. It is divided into motifs. Lower section connection, middle section, and upper section connection. The front piece has a total of 6 motifs. There are 3 motifs on both the top and bottom sections. Complete the first motif as usual. For the remaining motifs, work and join along the side during the last round. Use the magic ring method for each individual motif. Crochet in rounds counterclockwise. You will need to switch colors while crocheting. The stitches used include chain stitches, double crochets, and slip stitches. Below, please watch as I demonstrate the specific crochet method, for your convenience to see more clearly. I will demonstrate using cotton yarn, random colors, for specific yarn, color schemes and hook sizes. Please refer to the detail page of our product and the paper instructions. First, start with an adjustable magic ring. Pick up the yarn with your right hand and wrap it twice around your left index finger. One, 2. Now there are 3 strands of yarn on the index finger. Use your right thumb and index finger to pinch where the loops overlap. Take it out. Then, wrap the yarn tail once around your left little finger. Insert your hand between the middle finger and index finger. Transfer the loop to between the left hand's middle finger and thumb. Pick up the crochet hook with your right hand and insert it into the loop. Position the hook to the left of the yarn. Wrap the yarn counterclockwise. Draw the yarn through. Now there is 1 loop on the hook. Crochet a chain stitch to secure. Yarn over. Pull the yarn through the loop. 1 chain stitch is done. Pull tight. The magic ring is now complete. Next, we'll work on the first round. Chain 3 as the beginning chain for double crochet. Yarn over and draw through. One, 2, 3. These 3 chain stitches count as 1 double crochet. The right side of the chain is the V-shaped braid. 1 braid represents 1 stitch. Place a marker on the 3rd chain stitch. If you don't have a stitch marker, you can use a paperclip or safety pin instead. Crochet 1 more chain stitch. Move on to work 1 double crochet. Yarn over. Insert into the starting ring loop. Yarn over, draw the yarn through. Now you have 3 loops on the hook. Yarn over, pull through the first 2 loops. There are 2 loops left. Yarn over again. And draw through in once. 1 double crochet is done. The braid at the top right is its stitch. Then chain 1 more stitch. Continue with 1 double crochet. Yarn over and insert. Yarn over, pull the yarn through. Yarn over, draw through the first 2 loops. Repeat twice. One, 2. The second double crochet is done. Work 1 more chain stitch. 1 double crochet. One chain stitch. This round is worked by alternating 1 double crochet and 1 chain stitch. Continue to finish the remaining double crochets and chain stitches. If there's not enough room, you can move the previously crocheted stitches to the right before continuing. After completing the last chain stitch, tighten the loop a bit. There are 2 loops in total. First, gently pull the starting tail. There will be 1 loop that moves. Tighten the moving loop. One loop will remain. Pull the yarn tail tight directly. This way, the loop is fastened. Then slip stitch join at the marker spot. Pick up these 2 strands of yarn. Draw the yarn through. And draw through in once all the loops on the hook. The slip stitch is done. Slip stitch doesn't count as a stitch, tighten it. For the next round, you need to switch colors. First, fasten off the yarn. Crochet 1 chain stitch to secure. Leave a 5 cm tail. Cut the yarn. Pull tight. The texture on the right side of the piece is clearer. The texture on the wrong side is more blurred. When crocheting, keep the right side facing you. Here, you can weave in the tail on the back side of the piece. This way, the tail is hidden properly. You can weave in the tail a few more times for extra security. Finally, trim any excess tails. Whenever you need to weave in ends later, you can refer to this method shown here. That completes the first round. Now move on to crochet the second round. Take the corresponding color yarn. Hang the yarn on your left hand. Leave a length of about 5 centimeters. Tie a knot. On the left side of the slip stitch from the previous round, join the yarn in the chain space. Draw through. Place the knotted part on the wrong side of the fabric. This way, the yarn is joined properly. Make 3 chains as the beginning chain. Crochet 1 double crochet in the chain space. Here you can place the yarn tail above the hook. Hide it as you crochet. Place a marker on the first double crochet. Then make 1 chain. Crochet 2 double crochets in the next chain space. Chain 1. For this round, in each chain space from the previous round, crochet 2 double crochets. Chain 1. Everyone continues to work following this method until you finish. After completing the last chain, slip stitch at the marker spot. That means picking the stitch of the first double crochet, and draw the yarn through. Draw through all the loops on the hook. Complete the slip stitch, tighten it. Chain 1, then fasten off the yarn. This completes the second round. Now move on to the third round. Take the corresponding color yarn. Join the yarn in the chain space on the right side of the slip stitch from the previous round. Then make 3 chains as the beginning chain. Follow this with 2 double crochets. Place a stitch marker on the first double crochet. Consider this beginning chain and 2 double crochets as one leaf. Mind that this leaf is the first one for this round. The technique here is special. From now on, work 3 double crochets as one leaf. Then make 1 chain. Work 1 leaf in the next adjacent chain space. Chain 1 again. Work 1 leaf in the left chain space. Then chain 3. Work 1 leaf in the next chain space. This forms a corner. Continue with 1 more chain. Work 1 leaf in the left chain space. Then make 1 more chain. Work 1 leaf in the left chain space. Chain 3 again. Work 1 leaf in the next chain space. This completes the second corner. For this round, work 1 leaf in each chain space from the previous round. At each corner, chain 3. Between corners, work 1 chain on each side of the leaves. Everyone refer to the chart and complete this round. After finishing the last leaf, chain 3. Then join with a slip stitch to the first double crochet. This completes the last corner. Round 3 is now complete. Next, we'll work on round 4. Take the corresponding color yarn. Join the yarn in the chain space on the right side of where you slip stitched in the previous round. Work 1 leaf first. Pay attention to weave in the tail as you go. If you can easily find the position of the first double crochet later, you can skip using the stitch marker from now on. After completing the leaf, chain 1. Work 1 leaf in the chain space on the left side. Chain 1. Continue working leaves and chains in the next space. Now we've reached the first corner position. Work 1 leaf first. Then chain 3. Work another leaf in the same position. The first corner is now complete. For the following corners, work 2 leaves in the same position. Chain 3 in between. In this round, all corners are worked into the corners from the previous round. Work 1 leaf in every chain space between corners. Chain 1 on both sides of the leaf. Repeat this process as you continue crocheting. After completing the last corner's leaf, chain 3, then slip stitch into the first double crochet, that's it for the 4th round. Let's move on to the 5th round. Take the corresponding color yarn. Join the yarn in the chain space on the right side of the slip stitch from the previous round. Start by crocheting 1 leaf. Then crochet 1 chain. Continue alternating between leaves and chains. Finish the first corner. Now, we'll treat the leaves between 2 corners as one side. For this round, you'll crochet the corners into the chain spaces of the previous round's corners. Between the corners, crochet 1 side. Continue crocheting in this way. After completing the last corner with 3 chains, slip stitch into the first double crochet, after finishing, refer to the pattern to measure the dimensions. If there's a big difference, you can adjust your crochet tension, then recrochet. That completes the 5th round of the first full motif. Next, we'll move on to connecting the lower section motifs. Proceed in order from right to left. The lower left corner is the first motif. While crocheting the 5th round of the remaining motifs, connect them to the previous motifs. Here, the motifs need to be connected along one side. Everyone should first refer to the chart and complete the first 4 rounds of the second motif. Below, please watch as I demonstrate the specific joining method. First, finish crocheting the first side. When crocheting the 3 chains at the corner of the second side, first, make 1 chain stitch. Then take the first motif. Insert your hook into any chain space at a corner position. Make 1 slip stitch. Then make 1 chain stitch. In the same chain space on the left, crochet 1 leaf. Then insert your hook into the adjacent chain space of the first motif. Make 1 slip stitch. Mindful that the 2 motifs don't get twisted. Next, return to the chain space of the second motif and crochet 1 leaf. The connection is done by crocheting a slip stitch into the chain space of the completed motif. Then crochet leaves on the unfinished motif. Continue until you complete this side. When you reach the next corner, make 1 chain stitch first. Then 1 slip stitch. And another chain stitch. Then crochet 1 more leaf in the same position. Continue to finish the remaining part of round 5. After completing, fasten off the yarn. Hide the yarn tail on the wrong side of the fabric. This completes the connection of the first 2 motifs. Connecting the third motif is the same as connecting the second one. All connecting areas are done with slip stitches. You can refer to this demonstration and complete it on your own. This concludes the explanation of connecting the lower motifs. Next, we will learn about the middle part of the front piece. It consists of fabric piece and a leather label. The fabric piece is crocheted back and forth on the connected lower motifs. After completing, sew the leather label onto the corresponding position. Now, let's show. First, work the first row. Take out the corresponding yarn. Get the connected lower motifs ready. In this sample, there are fewer motifs. It only demonstrates the method. Then, find the motif on the far right of the right side. Join a new yarn in the chain space at the top right corner. Work 3 chains as beginning chain. Place a stitch marker on the 3rd chain. Work another double crochet in the same position. Then, work 1 chain. Work 1 leaf into the chain space on the left. One chain. Continue working leaves and chains. When you reach the connection of the motifs, here you need to work 2 double crochets into the chain spaces on both sides of the connection. Work 1 chain in the middle. Then continue working leaves and chains on the second motif. Use the same method for the connection of the next motif. Finally, work 2 double crochets into the chain space at the corner of the first motif. That completes the first row. Now start the second row. Start by making 3 beginning chains. On the 3rd chain, place a stitch marker. At the beginning of each subsequent row, always make 3 beginning chains. Then turn your work. Work 1 chain. Crochet 1 leaf into the chain space on the left side. For this row, you will crochet leaves into the chain spaces from the previous row. Work 1 chain between each leaf. Refer to the chart to finish crocheting the last leaf. The sample has now reached the corresponding position. Work 1 more chain. Then work 1 double crochet into the stitch marker position in row 1. Pick up these 2 strands of yarn. Remove the stitch marker after you're done. That completes row 2. Now move on to row 3. Place a stitch marker after completing the beginning chain. Turn your work. Work 1 double crochet into the last chain space of the previous row. For all odd-numbered rows, the first double crochet will always go into the chain space. Then work 1 chain. Continue crocheting leaves and chains into the chain spaces of the previous row. After completing the last leaf, your swatch should reach the corresponding position. Crochet 1 chain. Work 1 double crochet into the chain space on the left side. Then, at the stitch marker, where the turning chain is located in the previous row, pick up 2 strands and work 1 double crochet. For all odd-numbered rows, the last double crochet will always go into the third chain of the turning chain. That completes row 3. For the remaining rows, refer to the pattern chart to complete them. That concludes the explanation of the middle fabric piece. Next, we'll start sewing on the leather label. Cut a 40 cm length of sewing thread. Thread the sewing needle. Then align both ends of the thread. Sew the leather label onto the center of row 3 of the fabric piece. You can also adjust the position of the label according to your preference. Insert the sewing needle from the back of the fabric piece. Tie a knot to secure it. Then sew a few stitches back and forth through the hole in the leather label. Do the same for the other side. Finally, tie a knot behind the fabric piece. Hide the yarn tail. Cut the yarn. That secures the leather label in place. The middle section is now fully completed. Next, we'll learn how to connect the upper part of the motif. Also, connect from right to left. When working on the fifth round of the motif, crochet and join simultaneously. Connect one side for the first motif. For the remaining motifs, you need to connect two sides. Now, let's show. First, crochet the first motif to the corresponding position. Crochet 1 chain stitch. Then, in the last row of the middle fabric piece, make 1 slip stitch in the third chain stitch of the starting chain. After completing the slip stitch, crochet 1 more chain stitch. Then, use the previous method to connect this side to the remaining one corner. Pay attention, the slip stitch at the second corner is hooked into the first double crochet on the left side of the corresponding chain space. Pick up 2 strands of the double crochet stitch and make 1 slip stitch. Crochet 1 more chain stitch. Then, finish the remaining part of this motif. This way, the first motif of the upper part is connected. Next, connect the second motif. Connect one side of the second motif to the remaining one corner. When you reach the corresponding position, start with 1 chain stitch. Then, in the chain space of the first motif's corner, crochet 1 slip stitch. Next, in the chain space on the left side of the middle fabric piece, crochet 1 slip stitch. Then, crochet 1 leaf. This way, the corner is connected. Continue connecting. Finally, finish crocheting the remaining part of the second motif. This way, connecting the two sides is complete. The connection positions for the remaining motifs with slip stitches are all marked on the chart. You can all complete it on your own. The upper part of the motifs has one last row of leaves. The crochet method is the same as the first row in the middle section. Everyone can complete it. This way, the explanation for the front piece is done. Next, we will crochet the back piece. It is divided into motifs, corner sections, fabric parts, and edging. You need to switch colors during the crocheting process. The motifs for the back piece are crocheted using the same method as the first motif of the lower part of the front piece. After completing it, crochet the corner section on two sides of the motif. Work back and forth. Pay attention, you only crochet one corner for this part. After completing each row, you need to rejoin the yarn and crochet the next row. After completing the corner section, refer to the chart and measure the dimensions. If the dimensions differ significantly, you can adjust your tension and recrochet a few rows. Then move on to crocheting the fabric piece part. The method is the same as for the middle part of the front piece, but the stitch count is different. For each row, you also need to rejoin the yarn and continue crocheting. After completing the fabric piece, crochet the edging around the edges. Crochet in rounds counterclockwise. The edging will require a new stitch technique. Single crochet. Now, let's show. Next, we'll learn how to crochet the edging. You need to crochet 2 short sides and 2 long sides on the back piece. First, everyone refer to the chart and complete the first short side. The sample swatch has already reached the corresponding position. Here, the row count is small, so we'll just demonstrate the method. After completing the double crochet, start with 2 chain stitches. Then, work 1 single crochet into the double crochet below. Pick up the entire double crochet loop with the hook. Draw the yarn through. Now there are 2 loops on your hook. Yarn over and draw through in once. 1 single crochet is done. Work another single crochet in the same position. Insert the hook. Pull through. Yarn over, draw the yarn through all loops at once. The second single crochet is completed. Then, work 2 single crochets into the left beginning chain. Work 2 single crochets on the double crochet. For edging the fabric piece and corners, work 2 single crochets in each beginning chain and double crochet. Everyone finish crocheting these 2 parts with single crochet. Next comes the motif section. First, work 2 single crochets in the corner chain space. Then, on the double crochets of the left leaf, work 3 single crochets evenly. Work 1 single crochet in the left chain space. Continue to work 3 single crochets on the double crochets of the leaf. Keep working single crochets. When you reach the corner, work 4 single crochets in this chain space. That finishes one long side. There are 2 more sides left. The crocheting method is the same as for the first 2 sides. It's a simple method. Everyone can complete it by referring to the chart. That completes the edging. We have now finished explaining the back piece. Next, we will sew together. This includes the pocket, magnetic clasps, and sewing together the front and back pieces. First, sew the pocket on the inside of the bag. Then sew on the magnetic clasps. Finally, sew the front and back pieces to the outside of the bag. Now, let's sew. Start by sewing the pocket. The pocket motif is identical to the front piece motif. If you have remaining yarn, you can adjust the size of the pocket motif yourself. After completing the motif, sew 3 sides of the motif to the inside of the bag. Leave the opening position unsewn. Cut a 40 cm piece of sewing thread. Thread it into the sewing needle. Insert the thread from the back loop of any corner of the motif. Tie a knot. Take out the bag. After determining the position of the motif, exit through the middle chain stitch of the corner. Then follow the stitches of the motif and sew back and forth. Insert and draw through the middle of the stitches. Everyone, follow this method to sew these 3 sides on the inside of the bag. That concludes the explanation of sewing the pocket. Next, we'll sew the magnetic clasps. They are divided into the male part and the female part. The thicker one is the female part, sew it on the top of the pocket. At the middle position of the bag handle, sew the male part on the corresponding position on the other inner side. Start by sewing the female part. Continue by cutting a 40 cm piece of sewing thread. Align both ends of the thread. Tie a knot. Determine the correct position. Insert the sewing needle from the outside of the bag. Sew back and forth through the holes of the female part a few times. Finally, tie off and secure the knot on the outside of the bag. That's how you sew the female part. Use the same method for the male part, sewing it in the middle of the other handle. The demonstration of the magnetic clasp is now complete. Next, sew the front and back pieces to the outside of the bag. All 4 edges of the front and back pieces should be sewn and secured to the outside of the bag. Start with the back piece. Then sew the front piece. Now, let's sew. Lay the back piece flat on the outside of the pocket. Take out the pins. Secure one edge of the back piece onto the bag. You can secure several points if needed. Then cut a 40 cm piece of sewing thread. Thread the sewing needle. First, insert it from the wrong side of the back piece. Tie a knot to secure it. Sew the back piece and the bag together along the edge, going back and forth. Take your time with the sewing. When you reach the pin, remove the pin first. Then continue sewing. This completes the sewing of one edge. After completing one side, position the next side and sew it. The front piece is also sewn onto the other side of the bag using the same method. This concludes the explanation of sewing the front and back pieces. Up to this point, the entire explanation of this bag is complete. If you have any questions during the process, don't hesitate to reach us via our website. Susan's Family, supporting your handwork experience, sharing the joy of life. Thanks for watching. See you in the next episode.